everybody. This is the first Prototype Strand session with our prototype teams. And I'm Tom Eady, Knowledge Exchange Manager for Swackton, based at the University of Plymouth. And from 11:30 until 12, we've got Nema Hart and Dr. Biaga on their prototype, the Re+Collective and Looking for the Cloud. There will be a presentation. Then I will ask the questions, and finally you'll get the chance to ask further questions. So please submit those into the chat. Okay, for now, it's over to you, Nema and B.
Hello, so I'm Nema. This is B in Oslo. Hello, Oslo. We're going to present on behalf of our collaborators this morning. We'll be talking about the prototype project, Looking for the Cloud, and the model of the Re+Collective, which delivered it. So first of all, let me introduce you to the team. So we've been collaborating with a fantastic group of women across the Southwest and beyond to co-produce this prototype. The team was made up of creative technologists, artists, writers, scientists, activists, designers, and producers. They were Coral, Ellie, Rachel, Sam, and our partners with the Eden Project, which included Dr. Jo Elworthy, who's the Director of Interpretation and a published children's author. And we also work with their researchers, their storytelling teams, and their education team. And we also had sketch artist Elvia and also illustrator Poppy, as well as the design agency Intercity working with us. Over to you, B.
Hi, so we wanted to say a little bit just about where it came from, why we're doing this project. So it really started off with a project called Women Reclaiming AI, which is a response to the pervasive lack of diversity in the teams that are currently developing AI technologies. So this project manifests as a series of workshops, a platform to edit, to write together, and also as a collaborative artwork. So this call to action about making space for women in creative tech and making women's voices heard is really the foundation of the Re+Collective pilot and the Looking for the Cloud project.
So the Re+Collective is a design activist community. We work together to kind of advocate, upskill, and create opportunities for women in creative technology. The Re+Collective will use creative technology as a way to explore and discuss and learn, develop skills, share ideas, and ultimately change the way we use and design technology for the better. Our community is inclusive of anyone who identifies as a woman, regardless of gender assignment at birth, and people who identify as non-binary or genderqueer.
So we wanted to just quickly talk about for the model. We're really based around creating value. That's our mission. We're not really measuring what we do in financial terms, though that is always part of the bigger picture. So this is a prototype. Obviously, we are developing a community model. It needs to be developed with the community, while we're still calling it a pilot. But the way we develop value is really, we started with a challenge. So the challenge is based on, could be the environmental, social, or personal impact of new technologies. We will then engage our Re+Collective community and the communities affected by the new technology. We will run workshops, we will demystify the technology, we'll share skills, and then we'll create that as a project. So the project may be anything from a piece of activism to a community tool to a piece of tech, or it might be an artwork. And then we'll take that to the public to scale impact, scale conversation. And really the value that we are creating, or the impact we're creating, is we're giving women opportunities to work with creative tech, we're creating spaces for female voices in developing tech, and we're also engaging the public, empowering them and demystifying technologies. So this is sort of like the circle. At the end of the circle is about growing the network. So we want more women to take part. We want to share more skills. We want to open up more opportunities for women to take part in creative tech. And that's really our value model. And obviously we are a community and we're saying it's a pilot. We started off the pilot by creating a manifesto, 14 steps. We're not going to go through it here, but it's really a call to action. And this is not a document that's set in stone. This is a document that's going to be in a wiki, that's going to be edited by the community, and the same with the community agreement, also going to be in the wiki. We need, the next stage for us now is take this to the community that we're going to engage, and we're going to co-author, co-edit, and it should always be representative of the people in the community. So it's always going to be a kind of editorial document for the community.
So to test this model further and to actually put it into practice, with the money from the Southwest Technology Creative Technology Network, we were able to test this approach and create Looking for the Cloud. We decided to work with the environmental education charity, the Eden Project, because they had access to those communities that we really wanted to reach, which was the young people. Unfortunately, some of the team couldn't be with us today, so we've included a bit of our promo film, which will hopefully explain a little bit more about Looking for the Cloud. The Re+Collective's first pilot project is Looking for the Cloud, that is a collaboration with the Eden Project.
Looking for the Cloud explores the physical nature and environmental impact of the internet. We do this through writing a children's book written by Dr. Joe Alworthy of the Eden Project and illustrated by Poppy, and there's an accompanying set of chatbots that all encourage you to think about the different ways in which the internet works and also how it uses energy.
Eden are delighted to be working with the Southwest Creative Technology Network to do this project, which is about the environment, which is about the future, which is about technology. And one of the best ways to get messages across to kids is through stories about them.
So most people have a phone, a TV, a laptop now that's connected to the internet, but we're not encouraged to think about how those devices work or how the data travels to those devices. So we want to challenge that. We want people to really understand how the technology they're using works, and then demand that those technologies are used ethically and also don't impact the environment.
Great. So just to really emphasize, at the heart of this co-designing element, needed to be the community, the young people who would help develop the narrative and the chatbots. And through that process, it puts those who are affected or using the technology at the heart of its design. And the process was really important to us, empowering those young people to learn more about AI and automation and how it works and also how it affects them. Obviously, COVID hit, so there were some restrictions and we were really unable to work with a much wider group of young people as we had hoped. But luckily, some of us in the team had young people, so we had access to those children in that target group. So we were able to engage them in the testing of this approach. And through that, we've developed a proof of concept. We've got the narrative, we've got the illustrations, and a set of conversational AI chatbots. So the future, what next? Well, we're really keen to kind of move forward and build on what's already been achieved. We've set up the Re Studio, which is a female-led creative design studio, which will enable us to continue to work together and create playful experiences with tech and people. And the Re Studio will be the kind of administrative and kind of legal body that will support the delivery of the Re+Collective. We will continue to develop the Re+Collective over the next couple of months, and we plan to do a kind of formal launch next year where we hope to kind of reach more and more women through our existing communities and our networks to come and join us. And we'll bring people together through the Re-Challenge, which will be an annual event, which will bring the communities together to address some of the biggest technological challenges that we will face in 2021. Thank you. That's it from us for a moment. I'm now going to hand over to Tom. Hello, Tom.
we'll take some questions from the side. So if I ask them, Emma, you can answer until Tom gets back. So let me just go a bit up here. Let's see.
Oh, look, here's Tom.
Oh, here's Tom. I'll just ask a question while Tom gets back on. So Hannah asks, where is the studio based? Nema.
Hi. Well, we're all based across the southwest and Norway at the moment. So, you know, at the moment, I think like most of us, we're all working from home, but it is, you know, a registered company in Cornwall actually. So that's our kind of physical base.
Corinne asks, how many members are there currently and how large do you plan on growing?
Well, at the moment, we've got about 7 kind of core members, but we hope to grow that quite quickly, don't we, Bea?
Yes. And then one more for Hannah. Totally love to support the Re+Collective mission. It resonates with our business too. How do you get involved and offer skills and partnership?
So one of the things, you know, we're planning to do, you'll see on our website, we've got a holding page at the moment, and you've got an ability to get in contact with us through there. So what we'll do, if you do that, we will keep in contact with you and keep you updated for when we launch officially next year.
Hello.
And we got Tom back in the room. Have you got some questions?
Can you hear me?
Only just, Tom.
Oh, great. This is working really well.
Tom, I think you need to turn your sound on.
I'm afraid we had this problem the other day, but shall I carry on and ask a few questions?
Yeah,
So,
we've had a few, Tom, from the side. So
I thought you were doing a great job. You're professionals at this. Can I ask, please, why have you decided to develop the Re+Collective now?
So, well, I can take them and then you can add to it. I mean, I mentioned briefly the Women Reclaiming Project, and that's kind of at the root of it. But really what it is about is the pervasive lack of diversity in technology teams. In general, there's 1 out of 5 people in technology teams are women. In AI, it's even less. And if you look at diversity beyond gender, it drops off a cliff. So we're really at a critical point, particularly now, as you can see with COVID, we're living through digital systems that are designed by really unrepresentative groups of people. And these systems are dictating our access to loans, healthcare, choice, politics. So it's really important that we create spaces and voices of those that are currently excluded.
And I think probably just to kind of add on that, I think, you know, both Bea and I have been in this sector now for over 20 years, showing our age. But it's been really great to meet so many other like-minded females that are really trying to kind of push the boundaries and challenge some of the designs out there with technology. And I think it's really great that we, you know, are able to kind of come together. So for us, this is a kind of almost formalization of all of us wanting to kind of come together, join forces and do something good.
Why is it important for the Re+Collective to develop the prototype looking for the cloud?
You want to take that then?
Yeah, so, you know, one of the things that we were really conscious about was this kind of hidden environmental impact of technology. And I think, you know, what was quite interesting, just before COVID hit, you know, that information was starting to get out there. About, you know, the amount of energy that places like server farms use. And it kind of hit us that actually, you know, we talk about all these words like cloud and farm, and it doesn't really give you a very clear indication about what their impact is. And so one of the things we were looking at, well, what communities are going to be affected by that? And I think one of the things that we were very conscious about, because most of us have children as well, that before, you know, the kind of age group is about 5 to 8 before children start to get their first mobile phone. It's like, how do we kind of inform and educate, you know, the next generations to be mindful of this kind of environmental impact? So that's why we thought it was a really good project for the Re+Collective to take on and work with young people at the heart of it.
I'm just going to add that really at the center of what we do, both in the Re+Collective and the wider work, is about centering people in technology. So whereas people often are excluded by the technologies that affect their life, we want to put people back in. We want to demystify the technologies. We want to make it understandable and engagement. Obviously, in being in the middle of COVID, it's difficult to do participations. We had to rethink how we do it. And the same with the communities. Obviously, we only got a pilot, an idea of a community, but a community only becomes something when the community decides what it should be. So really the next stage for us as well is ensure that we got participation. This is probably going to have to be digital participation, but of course digital is exclusive as well. So we need to really think about how we create a space that is inclusive. We don't replicate the same barriers that is currently in the technology sector that excludes people from taking part.
I'm back. I don't know if you can hear. Hopefully you can see me, and I think you're doing a fantastic job of and I don't know how far we may have got along, but shall I ask another question?
Yeah, go for it.
What do you need now to help take Looking for the Cloud to the next stage?
You know, it's always nice to have, you know, more money, time and resources. I mean, we think we've got something really interesting here. And I think, you know, the next stage for us is to go back and talk to our partners, the Eden Project, because as B just kind of touched on there, you know, such a core part of this process was that kind of co-design element. And we really want to be able to engage more young people in order to take it to the next level. So I think that's something we would like to explore.
If I could come back on that question, I mean, when you talk about the, I suppose, the area you're working in, is the idea to focus in one particular region, and I mean geographical region as such, in order to be able to I suppose perfect kind of how this all sort of works and how you can design your own influence on different groups and partners, or is it to kind of really spread out, you know, geographically?
I guess like none of us are existing locally anymore in a sense. I mean, we are existing digitally and virtually, which means that the communities that we engage, I guess, largely at the moment in the UK, but we're going to try to not put barriers. I guess location is a barrier, so is digital technology, but the idea is being able to engage people irrelevant of the background, irrelevant of their location, and so on.
And it, you know, it'd just be great, wouldn't it, to grow? We would love to see this grow globally, going beyond international barriers as well.
Well, in a way, it already has, I suppose, been overseas. And okay, one more. So, what would a successful outcome be for the Re+Collective in the next 18 months, 2 years?
So I think, you know, one of the things we would have successfully launched next year. I mean, you know, it would be great if we could physically come together and do that. But, you know, if we have to do it digitally, we will. And I think, you know, with that program, you know, we will have identified what the next big challenge in tech is for 2021. We've already got a few ideas there. We were thinking about algorithmic injustice, which is affecting so many lives at the moment. And, you know, we would hope, you know, by then we'd have a big program centered around our next theme, but also a growing community. You know, I hope there's hundreds of women involved with the Re+Collective by then.
I'm just going to take, that's a really good question from Corinne there. Have you designed Looking for the Cloud as low data as possible, as it is a digital, I guess, project? So for us, it's been really important to not scaremonger about the use of technology. So we've been very clear about this. It's not about saying you can't use technology and encourage and grow the kind of the fear about environmental impact. It's really about demystifying or educating young people about the choices they make. And also at the same time, we've been very clear about the technologies, the service, the processing. Obviously, we are using technology. We use it in a conversation with AI. There's a lot of processing that goes in. So we looked at green services. We looked at green server providers. We looked at low-tech technologies. But it's really about smart use and informed decisions. So it's not about don't use technology, but use good technologies and have expectations of your provider to the environmental impact of those technologies that you are using.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether we'd explored the challenges in my absence, because we were talking about discussing what the challenges in the co-design aspect of the project have been along the way.
Well, one of them obviously is not being able to get in a physical room with each other because, as a research project, it's really important that we can test the ideas with each other. You can do so much on Zoom, but I think also there's a little bit of Zoom overload at the moment. Sorry, I'm getting an awful lot of feedback in my headphones. So I think, that's been one of the challenges. And as, Bea mentioned earlier, the fact that we had to kind of rely on the young people that were around us. And I think, we were really looking forward to working with Eden's education team. I mean, they reach nearly all the schools across Cornwall. So they have that kind of expertise of engaging with young people. But we haven't been able to do that. And, throughout lockdown, having to homeschool my children, it is quite a challenge at times. So I think, for us, that was probably one of the most disappointing things, but it's something that we really hope we can pick up and engage a much wider group of young people to take the project forward.
And is the sort of the partnership working, or the group working with, I suppose, ever expanding in numbers and so forth? Is there a way in which that you think the best way of navigating having a large group of people working on one or more projects, with the same interest? Is there kind of a sort of I guess it's like an ethos that you operate through, which maybe you talked about, but I think that all these things in practice are different to those in theory.
So I guess we can talk about the ideas for how Re+Collective, the community, could work. So the idea is we set up a space and a place and a community agreement where women can come together to create. And within that, we have like an overall, like we talked through, the kind of value generation model. And through that, we'll set up a supportive network, we'll ensure access to resources, we'll share our skills and knowledge, and then the project will spin off. There will be maybe small groups, maybe big groups, but the whole idea is non-hierarchical. So yeah, it makes the community more complex, but there's community agreements in place, there's a kind of manifest in place that any community member can edit, any community member can use the brand, as long as they follow the guidelines. All resolutions is done in the community. So we're really trying to have a radical, well, it's not radical, communities existed for a long time, but have a radical digital environment to support that. So I think the project will come out. The idea is people go back into their community and engage their community in developing the project. We don't believe that we can sit on top and decide the challenges and impact of technologies for everybody out there. We only have a tiny experience that's based on our life experience, I guess.
I think just there's tools out there that we can use to kind of manage that as well. We're setting up a Slack channel, for example. The community engagement document is going to be a wiki document, so we get people to kind of add and work with us in building that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think one thing that we're getting from the chat is the fact that people really like the model. And how do people get involved? How do you absorb the interest that is likely to come your way?
You're going to take, and then we haven't got sound, I think.
Oh, look. So I think you can see our website address there, and I think because we haven't officially launched yet, it would be great to get so many other kind of female minds out there to help us get involved and really shape the manifesto and help us drive this model forward, because I think the more of us that help develop this approach, the stronger and better it will be. So in the first instance, as I said before, get in contact with us through our website and we'll keep you informed. And then please come and join us at the launch next year, where we can all get together and we can brainstorm and we can think about some of the emerging challenges that are happening, and together we can come up with some really creative approaches to address them.
I think we haven't got any sort of further questions from the audience, and I think that the only other thing I feel is that when it comes to the end of kind of the prototype experience, and you look back, you've had to kind of pivot a couple of times. There's been probably a disappointment in some of how much you've been able to kind of realize it through what you hope to be able to do, not just collectively, but also through working with externals and even your own children. But what would you say, or how would you sum up, or maybe you've enjoyed working with your own children, but yeah, how would you sum up kind of the you know, the project, the prototype experience with the Southwest Connected Technology Network?
Do you want to go, Bea, or shall I?
Yeah, well, I can drop in on these. So I think first of all, having this opportunity to have time and space, even digital time and space, to develop and test out new ideas. You know, particular ideas and pilots and prototypes that are not necessarily prioritizing financial revenue models on the top, but really think about mission, community engagement, particularly in the time we're in now, where we need to look at new ways of supporting each other. That's been totally unique. And I think the amazing thing with Swackton as well is giving you the opportunity to be totally free. We haven't been dictated. We've been able to really take risks and explore a model which on paper, you know, is risky. And now we just need to be able to engage the communities in it, because this isn't anything unless the community gets involved. We just set something up. Hopefully there's a framework for something, and now we know we need participation to realize it.
Well, of course, because you were a fellow as well, so you've kind of had the journey, you know, from the very beginning of this theme. Nema, you're plugged into quite a few things anyway through your professional life, and essentially you were deployed into this project which you knew about, but again, for yourself, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, and it was, you know, I was just thinking of the words that sum it up, and I was saying, you know, insightful, challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. I mean, as probably a lot of people know, I work for the Arts Council. I have done for 17 years, and I've come across so many amazing women, you know, pushing the boundaries of technology through creative forms. Just having this opportunity to take some time out and actually work with some of those amazing women has been really rewarding and a really great experience. I think, you know, again, just talking about a little bit of a disappointment, I would love us to be able to come together and celebrate, because I think, you know, despite all the challenges that we've all faced, you know, whether it is that homeschooling or, you know, I had to go back and work for Arts Council full time, distance, not being able to physically see each other, you know, I think we should be incredibly proud of what we've achieved. And, you know, it's just a shame we can't physically get together and have a drink and celebrate tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of us feel that, and you know, maybe the future projects should be around how you can do that in a virtual way that feels genuinely connecting. But look, I think we're running out of time. I questions that people have to ask. I wanted to say, you know, thank you very much, both of you, for this. And well done with your presentation. Congratulations for finishing the prototype. And I'm right in believing that the next is going to be playable places for urban spaces starting from 12 o'clock, which will be in the sessions space. So please, everybody, go and see that presentation. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.